Hello there. Welcome to a very special episode of Electric Sheep. This is our 128 subscriber special. This is a companion piece to the other story that I did titled 50 Miles, I believe it was titled. And it's all about carrying a pallet to Beaver Lodge and back. But this is the story about the first attempt. So without any delay, this is The Glory of Failure.
The glory of failure. Most people only know the ending of the story, the part where I carried a wooden pallet 50 miles, where the road stretched long and straight and the wind, for once, kept quiet. They know the triumph, the finish line, the strange spectacle of a man walking with a pallet on his shoulder in the name of suicide prevention. They know the victory. They do not know the first attempt. That day, the wind in Grand Prairie wasn't just strong. It was alive. It had teeth. It had intention. Anyone who lives there knows the usual wind, the daily push and pull, the familiar lean you make when stepping out your door. But this wasn't that. This was a 50-plus kilometer blast. Maybe worse. I never checked the numbers. I didn't have to. When you can lean a wooden pallet into the wind and it doesn't fall, you understand the scale without needing instruments. I started with the pallet hoisted onto my shoulder, but the wind twisted at my spine, threatening to coil it into shapes it was never meant to bend. So I adapted. I lowered the pallet, pressed it forward, and pushed it like a shield. It wasn't a walk anymore. It was a siege. The wind was the fortress wall, endless, immovable, and I was the fool trying to take it with nothing but stubborn gritted teeth and a scrap of wood. Kilometers passed. Grand Prairie fell behind. My calves burned. My back screamed. The wind roared its laughter. And still I pushed. Actually, past it a bit. I still had many hours of energy left in my body, but even with my training, I knew I had spent too much energy too early. That's when the truck pulled up. The driver leaned out, squinting like he wasn't sure if I was real or a mirage made of fatigue and determination. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Do you need a ride?" And here's the truth. I could have kept going. Maybe. I could have risked my health. I could have embraced some twisted idea of heroism and kept pushing into the dark. But that wasn't the mission. The mission was never to break myself. The mission was to raise awareness for suicide prevention, to give people something strange, something amusing, something inspiring. Destroying myself for the sake of refusing a ride wasn't part of that mission. So I accepted failure. I climbed into the truck with my hands shaking and my pride dented, but not shattered. Because my failure that night, that brutal, wind-fought, bone-tiring failure, was a feat few would ever attempt. Failure, yes, but failure earned honestly. And when I tried again, days later, I was ready for wind. I was armored for it. I braced for the fight. But the wind was gone. Don't assume that made the second attempt easy. Victory never comes easy, but I understood its meaning because of the first attempt. I understood the glory of finishing because I had tasted the glory of falling short. So go forth and fail. But if you fail, don't stop. Don't let shame claim what effort built. Look at your failure, appreciate its shape, the elements that forged it. Fatigue, courage, miscalculation, determination. Ask yourself what it lacked, what was missing for it to transform into victory. And when you're ready, try again. For it is failure, not success, that teaches you what your triumph will one day require.
Well, I like that, but I'll correct the last line. You learn from success too, but you learn a lot more from failures, I've found. Another little correction, because I have to nitpick, is it said in one part that my calves were sore. On that first attempt, my calves were not sore at all, I don't think. I think it was actually just my feet and my back at that point. Now, by the end of the journey, on the second attempt, everything was sore pretty much, with the emphasis on the hips and the feet. And the back. Always the back. But yeah, I liked. You got to really go through what ChatGPT says when you give it facts because it just adds way too many things. I had to correct uh, full wooden pallet. Like it wrote it like I was pushing a full pallet. Like I wasn't pushing a pallet full of stuff. I'm carrying an empty pallet, but it wrote I pushed a full wooden pallet at one point, and I'm like, no, I like you're just adding things that just aren't true, and it's like you really gotta be careful with ChatGPT. Great for fiction. Even with fiction, you got to be like, hey, details, details. Like, I want to keep a coherent story here, you know? Like, but overall, I like the artsy fartsiness of ChatGPT. It's more than a robot, it's quite a hippie more than anything. uh, my name is Joseph Arthur Roszell. You might know me as Captain Canada. I want to wish you all luck in the world, and I want you to know that I love you. Peace out.